You've likely driven past one of these places without a second glance. An unremarkable hill, a small sign, or a stretch of forest just off the highway. Yet, scattered across Canada are structures older than the pyramids and Stonehenge, built by people whose names have been lost to time. This isn't about dramatic myths. It's about a quieter, more unsettling reality. How much of our history are we simply driving past? From sites that align with ancient stars to evidence that could rewrite the timeline of human arrival in the Americas, we're looking at 10 real documented locations that archaeologists are still trying to fully understand. Let's start with the one most people miss entirely. Number 10. Kyaikowin Petroglyphs, Sproat Lake, British Columbia. If you've been to Sproat Lake, you probably remember the water. Clear, calm, surrounded by forest. What most people don't notice are the carvings just along the shoreline. These petroglyphs, etched into rock at the water's edge, depict flowing, wave-like forms. Most researchers interpret them as a sea serpent or water spirit. They've never been precisely dated, but the region itself has been continuously inhabited for over 10,000 years, making it one of the longest occupied areas on the entire west coast of North America. Here's what makes it interesting. Similar serpent figures appear in rock art across North America, created by cultures separated by thousands of kilometers, with no confirmed contact between them. The same symbol, different places, different peoples. There's no supernatural explanation needed here, but there is a pattern, and we still don't fully understand what it means. Number 9. Lettre Stone Structures, Southern Quebec. In 2019, a man exploring a remote forested hill in southern Quebec came across something he couldn't explain: a series of stone structures spread across roughly 750 meters of open hilltop. At least 11 distinct formations, possibly more, arranged in what appears to be a large circle. He reported it. Experts visited. Archaeologists took a look. And then, not much happened. As of today, the site has not been fully excavated. It has not been dated. No confirmed conclusions have been published, which puts it in a strange category. Too significant to dismiss. Too unexamined to explain. There is no known record of any culture in this region building stone structures of this scale. That doesn't mean it's unexplainable. It means the work hasn't been done yet. And that, in its own way, is worth paying attention to. Number 8. Whiteshell Petroforms, Manitoba. In 1966, a university student told his professor, "We think we found the ruins of an ancient city." He wasn't entirely wrong. What they found was the Whiteshell region, home to one of the largest petroform sites in North America. Across several acres of Canadian Shield, stones have been arranged into deliberate shapes: turtles, serpents, human figures, geometric patterns. The site is deeply sacred to the Anishinaabe people, who call it Manitou Abi, where the spirit sits. It has been a place of ceremony and meaning for generations. From an archaeological perspective, the questions become more technical. Who first created these formations? How old are the oldest ones? What was the original purpose? There are theories. There is ongoing research, but no definitive consensus. The student called it the ruins of an ancient city. Nobody has proven him wrong, and nobody has fully proven him right either. Number 7. Moose Mountain Medicine Wheel, Saskatchewan. On a high open ridge in southeastern Saskatchewan, there is a stone structure that has been sitting in the same position for roughly 2,000 years. A central cairn, an outer ring of stones, 6 spokes radiating outward. Archaeologists have measured the alignments carefully. The spokes are oriented toward the summer solstice sunrise, as well as toward the rising points of 3 specific stars: Aldebaran, Rigel, and Sirius. But here's the detail that stops people. Those alignments are no longer exact. Because of a phenomenon called stellar precession, the slow wobble of the Earth's axis over thousands of years, the stars have shifted position since the wheel was built. The stones still point to where those stars rose 2,000 years ago. The sky has moved, the stones have not. This was not a coincidence. Someone tracked the stars with enough precision to build a structure that encoded those positions in stone, without a written language, without instruments we know of. How that knowledge was maintained across generations is still an open question. Number 6. Augustine Mound, New Brunswick. In the 1970s, a gravel operation was quietly destroying a burial mound in New Brunswick. Chief Joseph Augustine intervened before it was gone entirely. What archaeologists found inside changed what we thought we knew about ancient trade in North America. The mound contained Adena-style copper artifacts, a type associated with a culture centered in the Ohio River Valley, roughly 1,500 kilometers away. Adena burial mounds are not supposed to exist in Atlantic Canada. The Adena people once inhabited the lands that today make up Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. Their influence was thought to be regional, but here was their material, their copper, their burial style, in New Brunswick. Either the Adena traveled much further than previously believed, or a trade network existed 2,500 years ago that connected the Atlantic coast to the interior of the continent. Both possibilities are significant, and both are still being worked out. Number 5. Underwater Caribou Drive Lanes, Lake Huron. Beneath the surface of Lake Huron, one of the busiest waterways in North America, there is a structure that is 9,000 years old. Two parallel stone walls stretch across the lakebed, converging on a deliberately crafted cul-de-sac. It was built to funnel caribou. Hunters would drive the animals between the walls, directing them toward a narrow end where they could be taken. It worked. We know it worked because the bones are still there. This structure predates Stonehenge. It predates the Egyptian pyramids, and it was built by people who understood animal behavior, landscape, and engineering well enough to construct something that lasted 9 millennia. Today, people swim above it every summer. Kayakers paddle over it. Boats cross it. Almost none of them know what's below. An entire ancient landscape, preserved underwater, largely unvisited, largely unknown. Number 4. Herschel Petroglyphs, Saskatchewan. In the rolling hills of west-central Saskatchewan, overlooking a deep ravine, lies a site that feels like a library written in stone. Dozens of ancient tipi rings, ancient bison kill sites, and most importantly, 3 massive limestone boulders covered in deep, weathered carvings. This is the Herschel site, and it has been a center of human activity for at least 1,500 years. The petroglyphs here are unique. Unlike the serpent forms found elsewhere, these stones feature ribbed patterns and strange, cup-like indentations known as cupules. Here is the detail that fascinates archaeologists. The carvings aren't just decorative. Many of them represent the vision quest sites of ancient peoples. The limestone itself contains fossils of ancient marine life from millions of years ago, sharks' teeth and shells, which the carvers integrated into their art. This creates a staggering layering of time: prehistoric fossils, century-old carvings, and the stone rings of nomadic camps all occupying the exact same space. Local elders explain that these stones weren't just marked, they were fed. Offerings of tobacco and fat were placed in the cupules to honor the spirits of the land. Mainstream researchers focusing on the Herschel monoliths believe the oldest carvings could date back to the Besant culture. They represent a sophisticated symbolic language that we are only beginning to decode. But here is the thought that stays with you. The site was rediscovered by a local farmer in the 1960s, but to the indigenous people of the plains, it was never lost. No fences, no grand monuments, just stones on a hill, carrying the physical record of thousands of years of prayer, survival, and a deep connection to a world that existed long before our own. Number 3. Peterborough Petroglyphs, Ontario. Northeast of Peterborough, Ontario, there's a provincial park that most visitors walk through without ever realizing what they're actually looking at. On a single slab of white crystalline marble, 55 meters long, 30 meters wide, over 900 images have been carved. Humans, animals, geometric shapes, solar symbols, and boats. The site is a National Historic Site. It is sacred to the Anishinaabe, who know it as Kinamadjawapkong, the rocks that teach. An underground stream runs beneath the marble, producing sounds that for generations have been understood as voices from beneath the earth. Photography is not permitted for spiritual reasons. Mainstream archaeology dates the carvings to between 900 and 1400 CE, made by Algonquian or Iroquoian-speaking peoples. But the boat carvings are difficult to explain within that framework. They don't resemble indigenous canoes. They depict vessels with tall masts, figureheads at bow and stern, design features associated with large ocean-going ships. Similar imagery appears in petroglyphs in Scandinavia and northern Russia. The Algonquian peoples had no known sailing tradition. Some researchers have proposed the carvings are older than the accepted date, pointing to significant weathering on certain glyphs. Others have noted similarities to symbols found at ancient megalithic sites in Britain. These are minority positions. They are not accepted by mainstream archaeology, but they haven't been fully dismissed either. The site was hidden from non-indigenous people for centuries. It was found in 1954, by accident, by a prospector looking for minerals. He found 900 sacred carvings instead. The rocks that teach were discovered by someone who wasn't looking to learn. Think about what that says about how we approach the land we live on. Number 2. L'Anse Amour Burial Mound, Labrador. On the coast of southern Labrador, in a place called Anse Amours, Cove of the Dead, there is a burial mound that is 7,500 years old. It is the oldest known funeral monument in North America. The Egyptian pyramids are approximately 4,500 years old. Stonehenge is approximately 5,000. This mound predates both, and it was built for a child. Inside, archaeologists uncovered the skeleton of an adolescent, covered in red ochre, wrapped in skins or birch bark, laid face down with their head pointing west in a pit 1.5 meters deep. Fires had been lit on either side of the body. Around the child, stone and bone spearheads, a walrus tusk, paint stones, a bone whistle, and the earliest known toggling harpoon in the world. The toggling harpoon was the most advanced hunting technology of its time, the tool that would define maritime hunting for thousands of years. They buried it with a child. In a harsh subarctic environment, where every day not spent hunting could mean starvation, they stopped. They gathered. They spent at least a week building this monument, and they placed their best tool in the ground. We don't know this child's name. We don't know what language their people spoke. We don't know what they called themselves. We know that when this child died, the community stopped everything and built something that has outlasted every civilization that came after them. You can visit the site today. There is a viewing platform, interpretive plaques. The hamlet of L'Anse Amour has a current population of approximately 8 people, living beside a 7,500-year-old act of love, maintained by almost nobody, visited by almost nobody, in a place most Canadians could not find on a map. Number 1. Bluefish Caves, Yukon. 54 kilometers southwest of Old Crow, in the Yukon Territory, there are 3 small caves, each one no larger than a bedroom. No carvings, no monuments, no architecture, just 3 holes in a hillside. Inside, archaeologists found animal bones. Mammoth, horse, bison, caribou, animals that went extinct thousands of years ago. Some of those bones had cut marks on them, the kind left by stone tools when an animal is being processed for food. And when those bones were radiocarbon dated, the results came back at 24,000 years before present. 24,000 years. To put that in context, the model that dominated archaeology for most of the 20th century, called Clovis First, held that humans arrived in the Americas approximately 13,000 years ago. Bluefish Caves pushed that date back by 11,000 years. If the dates are correct, people were living in what is now Canada when most of Europe was still buried under glacial ice, when mammoths still roamed the continent, when sea levels dropped low enough for people to walk from Siberia to Alaska. The implications are significant, but the debate is not settled. The stratigraphy of the site is complex. Some researchers argue the bones may have been moved by natural processes. Others question whether the cut marks were made by humans or by predators. The caves are currently off-limits to the public. A diorama in Whitehorse is the closest most people will ever get. 3 small caves, a handful of bones, marks that may or may not have been made by a human hand 24,000 years ago. And the answer to one of the most fundamental questions in North American history, when did people first arrive here, may depend entirely on what those marks turn out to be. The work continues. Canada is not a new world, but one of the oldest inhabited landscapes on Earth. And these sites prove that our history is much deeper and far more permanent than we were ever taught.